free and back to work, free from Corona and my 10 days of quarantine. Back to feeding the need to want to have the highest quality from a cell phone as possible. Out on the go, trying to push my phone video quality to look like it came from a high-end camera. I've searched high and low for many apps that can meet that need, and I think I have found the one. The MotionCam Pro App. Absolutely fantastic. But we do know that every good thing comes at a price. But in return for that price, I am now able to shoot the highest quality video possible. This only is not going to take me to the next level. I still need to implement many other things, lighting, composition techniques. All of that helps to achieve the highest quality of video I possibly can shoot from a cell phone. And most importantly, keep filming. It's the only way you'll get better. Alright guys, long time no see. Back from COVID, luckily, and back from my 10 days of quarantine. So let's get straight to work. The MotionCam app Pro. I purchased it. It was like $13.99. Is it worth buying? Yes. First thing first, that I've been using the beta for a long time, and just the quality. You're shooting raw DNG files on a cell phone. Okay. Selected devices. If you guys go down to the MotionCam app on Google, you'll see a list of some of the devices that are actually able to run it. Mine is barely able to run it. I can't do it in 4K, but I can do it in other reduced aspect ratios and resolutions, right? Right off the bat, the difference between the beta and I guess this is still in a small version of this, the public release beta. They added so many more now things as far as my big favorite was aspect ratios. Now I can do 239 to 1. I can do HD. I can do 4K. There's a whole bunch of different aspect ratios and frame rates based on your device. Now my device doesn't do like 60, 120, because of Samsung, but I guess I haven't tried it on this yet, but you could possibly do that if your device works. But just the aspect ratios, fantastic. Again, I don't do 4K because I can get maybe 5 seconds to the most of 4K recording time. But if I put it in like 239, I can almost run up to a minute and stuff like that. So right off the bat, that is fantastic. There's another feature that I'm really, really excited and happy about is now when you say, okay, I shoot a shot, I got the raw DNG files on my device. Now, right on my phone, I can export them to MP4. Like they're ready to roll, like an MP4 video. I can upscale it to 4K, 2K. It's fantastic. So before, the workflow was basically I would shoot a shot, take those raw DNG, the container, put it on my computer, convert that container to DNG files, and then put that in DaVinci Resolve, do grading, whatever you want to do to it, and then export it out as a movie file, MP4 or MOV, whatever. Now I'm able to shoot raw DNG on the phone, export it as an MP4 right off the phone, right then and there. And if I wanted, like I said, again, I can upscale it to 4K or whatnot. Now the power of that is because now highest quality and then export it to an MP4 without it being tainted with compression and all that other extra junk, or when I'm using my standard cell phone, all the extra stuff that it puts on there that we don't even realize it, the boosting of saturation and the compression, auto exposure, all that crap, whatever. Now I'm getting the raw sensor and then just putting that straight into the MP4. Fantastic. I got some amazing shots, some amazing quality out of that just using this new workflow. It's a little bit longer because again, I'm exporting it on the phone, but you know, it just saves me an extra step from having it. I mean, yeah, if I really want to take the control of the D&Gs and maybe there's something I want to do as far as exposure-wise, then I'll take it to the computer. But just to get the high-quality shot really good right then and there, export it on my phone as an MP4, fantastic. Also, again, it's early days again on this app. For example, for me, when I want to export those D&Gs to an MPEG-4, like when I select the file, export, nothing happens. I close the app, reboot the app, go back to the file, say convert to MP4, and then it starts to export. And then when it exports, I get an error message at the top. Once it's finished, I get an error message saying it did not work. But then if I go to my gallery, the file actually worked. So there's actually a file. So again, it's early days with this app. But just to be able to have this, like I said, just to be able to shoot from the raw sensor, convert that to an MP4 right off on your device is fantastic. It's super, super, super cool. Like I said, it's been released from my 10 days of quarantine, and we went to the city to go get my daughter's passports and get our passports updated. I shot everything in the Motion Pro app. I did use my ND filter because I wanted to keep my frame rate at 24 FPS, and the shutter speed was at 48, so double the 180-degree rule. So I had my ND filter. I was able to control what I wanted to be exposed and try to save the highlights as much as possible. Yeah, and then right there on my device, exported it out as an MPEG-4. Now that's another thing, I didn't really mess with some of the settings, like you can change white balance, you can change exposure, contrast, shadows and stuff. I didn't do any of that. I just kept this standard 8-bit. That's another thing, if you have a 10-bit device, you can export it out at 10-bit log, right? You can do it a 10-bit log file and then export it to an MP4, an 8-bit log file. But I've been exporting everything out sRGB, which is, you know, the next closest thing to Rec 709. Doing that, and like, just look at the quality of this video. Like, the detail is more important than anything. Now, as far as some of the features that I've noticed that they have inside there, they do have a histogram, which I was watching quite a lot, and which is nice about the histogram. Like, when you're filming, the histogram will slowly turn red if you're starting to clip your image. Then you have focus peaking, and then you have an exposure zebra slash kind of setting, where basically yellow will show you if it's underexposed, and then red will show you if it's overexposed. One thing I've learned with just filming with D&Gs, even from my Canon EOS M to the phone now, that you really don't want to underexpose your shots, meaning like you don't want to be too much into the shadows, because I tend to notice that you get this murky, dirty, weird coloration in the shadows. Even more on my Canon EOS M when I'm doing when I'm doing the Magic Lantern. If it's underexposed, the colors and the shadows are green, pinkish, bluish. It's really hard to clean that up in post. And actually on the cell phone here, it's actually a little bit better if I underexpose it. Like, it doesn't look so dirty as far as like the coloration. I tend to expose everything in the middle, like even sometimes leaning more on the high side, or you know, more a little bit towards clipped, meaning higher highlight. Now, while I was out shooting, every time I would shoot, I would basically find out what's my subject in the shot, and then I would try to get that exposure set in the middle. I would try to have the whole histogram shift to the middle. Not too much in the shadows, not too much in the highlights, and I found out that I was getting some of the best looking footage. Again, for me, is necessarily cinematic, but looking more like a movie, more in the mid-range, versus our standard cell phones just overexpose everything. Like, everything is too bright and stuff like that. For other shots, like if I was shooting the sky, then I would crank hard on the ND and try to underexpose it so I wouldn't have the sky being overexposed. Vice versa, if I'm in the shadows and it was too underexposed, I'll kind of crank it up a little bit and just making sure whatever my subject in that shot was in that middle range as far as exposure. So that worked out really well. One other thing I failed to mention was proxies. Now you can make D&G proxies. If you don't know what a D&G proxy is, basically when you use the D&G files on DaVinci Resolve they're huge, you don't get really good playback. So now you can use the proxies, replace those, put those on your timeline, edit up your video however you want it. When you're finished, right before you export, replace those low quality proxies with the high quality DNGs, and then boom, that right there just helps so much on your workflow, especially when you're using DNG files, because they are very huge and very heavy on the system. I had to mention that, guys. So ultimately, guys, you know, who's this app really for? If you want to get, like, you know, the most out of your cell phone as far as quality, I would actually say, you know, it's not necessarily about resolution. 4K, 8K, who cares about resolution? It's not about resolution. It's more about the bit data, how much colors you can get in that. And shooting raw DNG, you capture the most color. That's what I'm more concerned about. I'm not really concerned about, even just look at, for example, for you guys that don't know, Area just released it. Area Alexa, you know, #1 cinema camera guys. They don't care about resolution. They don't care about 6K, 8K, 12K, and all that. They actually, most of their devices are still 4K, but the dynamic range, the gamuts, the color, how much color these things can hold, which really makes that image just look, you know, amazing, guys. So again, I like how, you know, people always ask me, "Oh, you're shooting in 4K?" I go, no, I shoot in HD. A lot of times I shoot in smaller aspect ratios, but this is the way to get the most color depth in there. It's really about how much color you can capture, and that's what really makes it just look so great. So, you know, I can go on ranting about that, but if you want to get the most color out of your image, take a look at the MotionCam Pro app. It's fantastic. It's just exciting times. So catch you guys in the next video. Patrick Levar, website's up, all that extra junk. I got lots of resources on the website, so you can go take a look at that. Music's from Artlist. You can get 2 extra free months on your subscription with my link down below. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. MotionCam app, more stuff coming soon. Peace.